Hello and welcome. This is the first in a series of videos outlining the startup of my new business, Saw Dog Woodworking. I chose the name Saw Dog because anytime we're out, my daughter will say, "I saw a dog! It was so cute!" She's awesome. I'm excited to get started and bring you along as I rebuild this shop and get my business off the ground. If you watched the introduction video, you know I'm a former HVAC instructor at the trade school in Portland, Maine. For 7 years, I taught high school juniors and seniors. The students were great, but the defective and ineffectual beast that is public education, it broke me down, and I decided there had to be a better way to live. So, with the support of my amazing wife, we put a plan together, tightened our budget, and I completed my last year of school as an instructor. That was June of 2025. It is now September of the same year. The hours I'm putting in now are long. There's no money rolling in yet, and the future's uncertain. But honestly, I haven't felt this good in 7 years. These upcoming videos, they're probably going to be a little rough. I'm learning as I go, but I think that adds to the charm or the vibe. As this business and by proxy this channel can grow, we can see the progression together. It'll be fun to look back years from now and see the beginnings of Saw Dog Woodworking in real time. Today I want to show you how I turned my kitchen cabinets into a 12-drawer storage cabinet. I'll start by showing you around, so let's go. This is my shop. It's a 2-car drive-under garage that I've put together in the last 10 years. In the first series of videos, I'm turning this dumping ground of my daughter's outdoor toys and the leftovers of previous projects into what I'm confident will be a thriving business. It's a daunting task, though. The hard part is finding a new place to store all this crap. The paddleboard, the arsenal of Nerf guns, stacked among the other bits of forgotten detritus that simply cannot be thrown away, even though they haven't been used in years. There's also a makeshift drying rack bisecting the shop, offering zero flow. This pool noodle shelf is the old kitchen peninsula and the focus of today's project. In order to cut an 8-foot board on the table saw, I need to open the garage door, which is super fun during a Maine winter. When the 12-drawer cabinet is complete, it will replace the metal van shelving the apothecary is now sitting on. In a later video, I tackle rebuilding this workbench and the storage underneath. The first part of any project is getting the materials ready. When you are taking something that is already built and turning it into something else, the first step is to break it down into usable pieces, or figure out how to make things like this drawer fit into the new project. Okay, yep, it's a drawer. Yep, put it down. This peninsula is 3/4 ply from 1972. At the time, it was a high-end kitchen, but very dated now. However, the plywood is still in great shape. So instead of paying to have this disposed of and then buying new material now, I'm saving money by investing a little extra time. Needing to remove hardware, like the old hinges and these magnetic catches, will slow things down. But in the end, I think I spent $24 in extra materials, where I could have easily spent a few $100s to build it new. They say time is money, but if you have a tight budget, money's money. Time is free, just exhausting. Here's a little trick if you're having trouble pulling out a long nail. Try putting a piece of scrap wood under the hammer. As you can see, this little bit of 2x scrap raises the height of the fulcrum and the nail comes right out. This also protects the project from dents. The piece of scrap is what takes the beating. Another thing that can slow down a project is when your best friend shows up to see how things are going. This is my dog Emmett, or aka Dogter Emmett Brown, aka what are you barking at? There's nothing out there. Okay. Yeah, you're a good dog. Yep, I love you, buddy. But you gotta go. I've got work to do. Okay, see you in a bit. Now, where was I? As the kitchen was being gutted, some care was taken in removing the materials I wanted to keep, but there are still jagged and hacked edges I now need to address. This is where a track saw would have come in very handy. The setup of this cheap track with the measuring and clamping eats a lot of time. If you want to know more about track saws, I'm putting a video together that I will post soon. As you can see, there are a lot of awkward cuts to break this down to a usable base, and I think the track saw would have made quick work of this part. Emmett stopped by again, and after consulting with him, he and I agreed the face frame that I had been trying to save just isn't going to work and needed to be removed. With that, Emmett skedaddled and left me alone to take the brunt of the work. Came right off. I had a scrap of 1/2 inch MDF that I cut to size to make the side. I made a gauge to quickly measure 3/8 from the edge. This way I know all my holes that I am pre-drilling with a countersink bit will line up in the center of the 3/4 inch plywood. And then I just made the holes. After applying some glue with my handy dandy glue spreader, I attached the MDF side. I'm using a 90-degree clamp to help me hold the piece until I can get it attached. Emmett never seems to be around when I need his help holding things. I make sure nothing shifted, and then I screw it together with 1¼ inch screws. Once the side is in place, I add some glue and nail in a piece of the new face frame. Normally, I would make the entire frame ahead of time and attach it as one piece. Here I use materials as they become available so nothing goes to waste. From there, it is time to cut some 2x3s to make a sturdy base. This raises the cabinet up and provides a nice toe kick at the bottom. Then it's time to break out the pocket hole jig and drill some holes. The front board indents about 3½ inches. The back is attached flush to the edge. For all the bottom boards, I'm using a few 1¼ inch pocket screws to hold it on. They're there just to keep the base in place. The right and left sides are attached with pocket screws as well. We'll move away from the base for a little while and focus on the drawers. There are 6 large drawers and 6 smaller drawers. Their sizes were determined based on the materials available. There were already 3 large drawers saved from the kitchen demo, so I had 9 drawers to make. Luckily, there were plenty of kitchen leftovers. Ugh, sorry, bad dad joke. I heard it too. I won't do it again, I promise. After drilling 1 billion pocket holes came the sanding. To pass the time with monotonous tasks like drilling and sanding, I put on my noise-canceling earmuffs and listened to audiobooks. During this project, I was rereading one of my favorite series, The Dresden Files by Jim Butcher, narrated by James Marsters. Yeah, Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's amazing how much dust this little dust collector can hold. Outside, I rough cut the drawer bottoms from 1/2 inch MDF, then I ran the pieces through the table saw to their actual measurement. Once all the pieces for the remaining large drawers were prepared, it was time to assemble. I'll make a video on drawer building in the future. For now, I'm speeding through these 9. These are shop drawers, so I was looking for function, not pretty. They are assembled with pocket screws and plenty of glue, so they'll be strong and last a long time. However, to make the drawers match, I glued and nailed some scrap 1/4 inch ply to the fronts. This neatens them up a little bit, makes them a little more uniform. From there, it was time to cut all the pieces for the small drawers. This used up most of the remaining kitchen leftovers. No, I won't. Okay, the kitchen leftovers. I found a few of the doors still had their hardware, so it slowed down my flow for a few moments. It's nice when all the cuts you have to make are all the same size. It took a little bit to make all the cuts. They're just, as you can see, a ton of pieces. These are my budget-friendly drawer slides. I really like undermount drawer slides, but buying them would have cost over $500. The white strip is 1/8 inch melamine to hopefully make a smooth glide. The upright pieces in the middle will keep the drawer from binding or sliding in crooked. There is no glue here, just 1 5/8 screws to keep them in place. I will pocket screw these into the face frame and the back of the cabinet box, or carcass. I've been using the drawers for a month now, and they work just as I hoped, storing all kinds of crap. My adjustable drawer stops are 1¼ inch cabinet screws sunk into the back of the drawer. I set the depth and adjusted accordingly until they sat flush with the face frame. I'm not going to lie, it seemed kind of ghetto, but it worked great. Once they're in, they're in. This is the only money I spent on the project. They are fence boards, just over $2 a piece at a store that rhymes with blows. I picked through 20 or 30 trash boards to find these 5. I marked and pre-drilled all my screw holes and used some clamps to pull them in place. I didn't use glue here. Even if it separates, most of it will be hidden under the apothecary cabinet. The boards were a little rough and had green spots, so I did sand it. We're in the final stretch, filling the holes. I'm using a DAP plastic wood filler. I've been really happy with the results. One note, it dries really fast. I can sand this in about 5 to 10 minutes. Because it dries fast, I try to keep the lid on the can as much as possible. the unused portion can dry out quickly if exposed to air for too long. Although I have mashed it into some holes when it's semi-hard. Oh, sorry. This is one of 2 coats of Kills primer. I highly recommend buying a good primer. It's like anything. If the foundation is strong, everything else will follow. A while back, I was priming a new wall for paint. I ran out of Kills and switched to a cheaper big box store primer midway through the wall. There was a blatantly obvious difference in the quality of the final coat, and it was hard to fix. This was the last roller I had. It worked well for the top and sides, but made it difficult to neatly prime the narrower face frame. Working my way through each of the drawer fronts, I set them gently in place to dry. It's amazing how just a single coat of primer can make patchwork build like this look completely uniform. This is the apothecary my grandfather built for his shop decades ago. The bottom shelves are from an Econoline van I sold 15 years ago. In order to get the new drawers in here, we need to remove everything. These are old Skippy peanut butter jars from the 50s my grandpa used to organize small nails and brads. I've added my own fasteners and whatnots to the jars over the years. Having lived through the Great Depression, my grandpa saved everything. When this cabinet became mine and it was moved into my first workshop, I cleaned it out and threw away a large shopping bag worth of old painted flathead screws. I'm trying to be good in this life because my room in hell is full of flathead screws and the soundtrack from Frozen playing on loop.
And here's the completed project. Well, almost completed. It needs a coat of paint, but I'm waiting to finish all the upgrades and then paint them together. The colors will be picked out by my wife and daughter. We all have strengths and weaknesses. My weakness is I can't pick color. I'd like to joke that my wife and I have stayed together these last 25 years because I can make it 3D and she can make it pretty. I'll fix the house and she makes it a home. And with that, I just want to say that I am truly grateful for you taking time to check out my video. Hit like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. This isn't Fight Club. We can talk about Saw Dog with everybody. Tell your friends, your family, random strangers. Tell that eccentric rich uncle of yours that is looking to just dump a ton of money into a wonderful startup called Saw Dog Woodworking. I won't mind. But in all seriousness, thank you. And I hope you enjoyed today's video and maybe get some ideas for your own project. The next video is going to be about building a miter saw station with some cabinets. I'll have that posted pretty much as soon as I have it edited. Until then, I look forward to seeing you and take care. Bye.